So I actually found, this is from, all the information I'm about to say is from another video. If you want more information on that, or you just want to go watch video for yourself, go do it. Channel name is Company Man. And this video was released 4 years ago. And this is the story and the history of the studio known as Pixar. Now, I have a question for both of you, okay? You and Mike. Jackson too. Pixar was released their first movie in 1995, okay, with Toy Story. I want you to tell me, when can Pixar first be dated back to, technically? Like, just take a guess. I don't need you to like think about it. Just take a guess.
1905.
Wow, what? Okay, relax. How about a time when computers were actually invented?
Oh.
When was it?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, this was not as fun as I thought it was going to be. Pixar dates back to 1974.
Oh, okay.
All the way back to
So
1974.
the year Wes was born?
Yeah, pretty much. Around
My
then,
Duke Dennis.
roughly.
What was that?
Around then. So back in 1974, computer animation was just at its, computers themselves. Computers were made in like the 50s or 60s technically, but they weren't computers yet, right? They just were machines that could do very simple things, if that, right? But in 1974, computer animation was being talked about, and it was very new. And I think at most, all they were able to do was like make a hand move, right? With like very simple polygonal shapes and things like that. So computer animation was at its birth, and no one took it seriously really at all. And at this time, no one understood computers, so they were very intimidating to most people.
Right.
So studios didn't want to spend money on things they didn't understand and that were going to take more money to develop and things like that, right? And it's a lot of money that got sunk into this. So there was, however, a couple people that were like, okay, well, computers are probably the way that things are going to be moving, so we should take time to do them, right? Step in a man named Alex Schur, okay? Alex Schur is the founder of the New York Institute of Technology. And back in 1974, he gathered funding across 5 years to create the computer graphics lab at the New York Institute of Technology. Now, they had short-term and long-term goals for this. And short-term goal was, okay, we're going to make computer animated shorts, or just make computer animation in general, just to have it. Right. But the long-term was, we want to make a full-length feature film using only computer graphics animation. So Alex Schur finds a man named Edwin Catmull. He led the team that pushed this goal forward, right? So he gathered a bunch of other engineers and computer scientists to work on this project. So they did release a short film directed by Alex Schur with no computer graphics in it at all. It was the old animation style. And because they were trying to use it and it didn't work, and they were like, well, fuck. So they just went back to the old ways and they did that. So Alex Schur allegedly, and mind you, this is the 70s, sunk roughly $15 million into this project. Wow. In the 70s. Can someone look up the conversion rate between like what that would be today? 15 million in 2024 money.
It says a lot of dough. That's what it says right.
A bag.
An egregious.
121 million.
Jesus.
Wow. So yeah, $121 million in today's money he sunk into this project. And he was losing money. So in steps a man that is a pioneer in this field. And not only that, but a pioneer in filmmaking in general. Can you guys tell me, you know who it is? You're a bitch.
I have a feeling, but
Yeah, you read it.
Yeah.
You fucking asshole. So, Mike, then take a guess. Who shows up? 70s filmmakers. He's kind of brand new on the scene, and he's about to make one of the most famous. George Lucas steps in when this company and this lab was at its lowest. They were losing money. No one was taking them seriously at all. And George Lucas comes in and goes, hey, I will help you out with this because there are some projects that I want to work out, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that require computer graphic, animation. Now, remember back to our Star Wars episode when we said in A New Hope, George Lucas originally shot everything physically, like everything was there on set physically. But then in around the 80s, early 2000s, he went back in and he added all this computer animated stuff. This is what he was working on all the way back then. He was working on that stuff in the 70s.
Talk about dedication.
So George Lucas joins the team, and he took everyone from Alex Shore's lab at the New York Institution of Technology. He took everyone from there and was like, hey, come work for me at Lucasfilms and we'll develop this technology and I'll help you develop it, right? So they would go on to create a computer because back then, computers now, we just run programs, right? All computers are made basically the same way. They just have certain programs now. Well, back then, one singular program on a computer took up the entire computer. This is what they called the Pixar. And the Pixar, I'm not even joking you, is probably bigger than these shelves behind me. It's massive, right? Ginormous computer. And the intent of it was to create computer generated animations. So they would go on to develop a few CG animated things here and there. The opening to Star Trek 2.
Oh, really?
The Wrath of whoever the fuck. They animated like the Universal logo thing. They did that. Or I'm assuming it was Universal. I'm not. That's what it looked like. They made a man made out of stained glass in young Sherlock Holmes. It looks really bad, very dated. But again, it was a long time ago. And a short animated titled "The Adventures of Andre and Wally B." Cool. I have no idea what that is.
I was about to say The Adventures of Andre the Giant.
No, that would have been cool. I would have watched that. So then, around this time, little man, or a man with a little known name as John Lasseter, joins the team. Now, John Lasseter was fired from Disney previously for having too big of ambitions with computer generation. Right. So he wanted to do CG animation stuff for a long time, but Disney was like, we're not really looking for that right now. You're gone. Right. So then he joins Pixar. Cool. So then in 1986, another big name. And around this time, he was, making some of the things that we use on a daily basis. Any guesses?
Bill Gates.
No, but you're close.
The dude who made iPhones.
Yep.
What's his name?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Thank you.
Steve Jobs.
I about said Mark Zuckerberg.
That's Facebook.
No, I know. That's why I said the guy who made the iPhone.
The dude who made my iPad.
So this is 1986. This is around the time when Apple was still new, whatever. But Steve Jobs buys Pixar from Lucasfilms.
Great movie, by the way.
With Michael Fassbender?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Great movie.
So he buys the team of Pixar from Lucasfilms because they were having creative differences pretty much. Like they just, George Lucas was like, all right, well, I basically did everything I wanted to do with it. I don't really need anything else right now. So, we'll just sell it and give it up. Okay, cool. So then still the Pixar company, right? They start selling the computers that they made, the Pixar, right? Mm-hmm. They started selling them. They started selling them for roughly, but I imagine, again, this is 1986. They were selling these computers for $130,000 a piece. That's more expensive than computers today.
Where can we get one?
Yeah. Probably worth millions now if you can find one. So they're still creating their animated shorts, and with John Lasseter as their head guy now, they released their first animation, little thing known as Luxo Jr. If you don't know what Luxo Jr. is, that is the opening logo pretty much. It's the animation with the Pixar lamp is what it's been called now. The Pixar lamp jumping on the ball, and that was their first animation. And then in 1988, they won their first ever Oscar. Would not be their last. They won their first ever Oscar in a short story called Tin Toy.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. That one's great.
So In 1990, Steve Jobs sells Pixar so that they can focus on their films, right? Because the market was really bad and he was losing a bunch of money, but he's still stuck with the company and all this stuff. So he sold the rights to Pixar pretty much. He's not out of the company. He just sold the rights. So they were focusing on their films. They actually made a couple commercials and little shorts and things like that. Then Disney steps in, the big mouse. They step in and they tell them, we will fund all of your projects for all of your animated movies, but we own all of it. So anything you make under our logo and our name, we pretty much get all the box office earnings and the merchandising. So cool. They pretty much get nothing out of this, but it's not really nothing because they still took the deal because they're able to fund their projects, right? Like they're able to make that dream happen. In 1995, Toy Story hits theaters, and it changed the game of everything.
Yeah.
Animation took a complete turn after this because Toy Story. Can someone look up the box office earnings of 1995 Toy Story?
191 million.
190 in 1995.
I was getting there, but yeah, he's correct.
Wow. So back then, 191 million. You said,
Yep.
almost $200 million. Which for back then, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy money. So Toy Story comes out, cool. Pixar blows up. They get something with the stock market, and now they're earning stock. And so Bill Gates is also making a shit ton of money now. Steve Jobs is now making a shit ton of money because he's stuck with the company and all this stuff now, right? So also, bet you didn't know that Steve Jobs, the guy who runs Apple. Hey, how come we've never gotten a Pixar Apple collab, bro?
True.
Like, come on.
I want an iPhone with the Toy Story.
Yeah,
on the
dude.
back.
Yeah. So in 1997, they're still running on the high off of Toy Story, obviously, because now they completed their goal they've had set since 1974, right? Pixar comes back and tells Disney and they want to make a new deal with Disney. They say they will make 5 CG animated films over the next 10 years. This deal was shifted I didn't really get into the details of the actual deal, but basically it tips it more toward Pixar, not toward the mouse, right?
Good.
So now you get Pixar getting the credit they deserve, their money and all that stuff. And now that's why Pixar is such a big studio as it is today.
Yeah.
And why it's now paired with Disney and it's not a Disney company.
Yeah.
Right. Because if it would have just been a Disney company from the start. It would have always just been a Disney company. But it's not. And now we have Pixar. And those 5 films were, over the next 10 years after Toy Story, A Bug's Life,
162 million.
Toy Story 2,
245 million.
Monsters Incorporated,
255 million.
Finding Nemo,
339 million.
and The Incredibles.
261 million.
So over the course of time, with those 5 movies, I think it's safe to say that Pixar
Knows what they're doing.
earned the bag.
Yeah.
They got the bag, bro.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah, definitely.
So they got out from underneath the mouse and they are now making their own corporations. And as the saying goes, the rest is history. It has a very, very short history of Pixar.